Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It has been a long time since I updated any videos, but there has been a lot going on, and in this video today, as you can see by the title, I will be telling you guys on how my study methods have changed in university compared to high school. This was my first year and we are currently done with the academic year. So the main focus on this video will be mainly on theory subjects because most of my modules are theory-based modules for this year. And I only had two calculation modules, which was biophysics and chemistry did have a little bit of theory. So you know that in high school when you study for things like geography or your life sciences, so what I used to do is I used to want to go through the whole textbook. Let's say I'm reading a certain topic, I would just want to take the textbook and read page by page each and every single page of that topic so that I can understand. From there on, that's when I would tackle my past papers, and a girl would pass. Your girl would pass just by doing that. So what I did in university is I tried to use the same method. Like I wanted to study my microbiology using the same method. But now with university is that the content is a lot. Like it's a lot, a whole lot more than we had in high school. So now I tried using the same method, tried reading page by page, but every time I got to the fifth page, the information would be a lot. I would have forgotten what I learned on the previous ones. So that is not the method really. I don't advise you to like try and cram everything by reading it page by page, going through the textbook like you used to go through it in high school. So instead, what you should do, what I learned that I should have done, and I realized it when it was too late, is first you go through your slides, because in the slides it's like you have lesser content. The content is way less compared to the textbook. Go through the slides first, see what you are supposed to focus more on, like the main things, the key things that you are needed to know. And then from there on, after going through your slides, is go through the past papers, previous past papers from your university. So when you go through those, you'll see if they don't change lectures regularly, you will kind of see a pattern of how they ask questions, where they mainly focus on where they need those long answers and where they just need a true or false, and where they would make maybe a multiple choice question, like section by section. So basically, you will know that when you go to your textbook, when you go to your textbook to study, you'll know that, okay, let me not focus too much on these ones, but I should know them just to know them. And when you see it, you can be able to use active recall, recognition, and all of that. And then that those that you should cram. And then there will be a section where you realize that this ones, I have to know them step by step, word for word. This is how they want it. This is where they mark. This is where they do not mark. And yeah, that is what I should have done from the beginning. And then now you will have less time to do your past papers. So what I have realized, and I have kind of like, I was underestimating this thing, past papers, university past papers. I thought like past papers worked best in high school, and I thought like in university, the lecture will set new questions each and every time, because I listen to people. But it's okay. It's okay. Now you listen to me. So I thought that there's no such thing as repeating a past paper in university. So if I know everything, then I will be sorted. So I lied to myself about that. So in terms of like having to study for your tests and your exams, that is what I did learn. And then, but now let's come to the processing part of information. So in high school, I had my own room, obviously. I have my own room, obviously, at home. So studying, I used to like read aloud, look at myself in the mirror, try to explain what I have learned. If you have watched my previous videos, you would confirm this. Look at myself in the mirror and then try to recall everything that I've learned, teach myself, then go through past papers, cram where I need to cram, and that is how I was able to do like my studying. So now in university, it was kind of difficult for me to study the way that I used to study. So I manipulated myself by no longer reading aloud, you know. I used to like go to the study hall, go to the library where people were there, go to the computer lab to study. And then when I read, I would like read inside of my heart. I don't know if you understand, but I wouldn't say what I read out loud. So instead I would read it quietly and then copy the notes. Well, copying the notes does work, but also I needed to say it. So my point would be, do not change those kind of things when you get to varsity because they can really affect your performance. If that's how you used to study in high school by reading aloud, I advise you to continue to do that even in university, because now if you change it and try to change your whole learning style, how you retain information, it can jeopardize you. Because now what happened was that when I had to write the tests, I would see that thing that I wrote, but I wouldn't be able to write it down or recall it exactly as it was, compared to like when I say it first, then write it, then recite it. Then when I get to the exam, I'll be able to remember it exactly as it was. Please do not change how you retain information when you get to university. What you should change though is the way you approach things. It's no longer as in high school. I must say, when people say your study methods change in university, I don't think that they mean the way you retain the information, but it's the way you approach that information, how you deal with it, how you try to know those important facts. There are things that you should know, you must know, and then there are things that are really unnecessary for you to know. So my advice to you, because at the beginning of the year, or let me just say during semester 1, I was shy to go maybe outside, sit at the benches and to read aloud, because I was like, people will think I'm crazy. But what I can advise you to do is, do not be shy. Go try to find a lecture hall, a lecture room that is empty, because that's what I started doing during semester 2, where there were no people, or maybe you would find a person who was also doing the same thing as you, reciting, reading out loud, cramming out loud. So that's what you should do. Or you could just go and sit at the benches outside where there are not so many people around, and do what you used to do. Do what you have to do to know that information, okay? Another thing that you should do in university is to work with people. You know, have friends in your class, have friends, know people, so that you can be able to help each other. So the people that you surround yourself with in uni matter, they do matter, okay? So be with people who you like will be able to call and be like, friend, I don't get this and that, do you get it? And then that person will explain to you, and you will also be able to do the same for that person. Just have those people who you can discuss the past question papers with, share information with, because now in uni you cannot survive alone, okay? They might have something that you need, and if you don't talk to them, then how are you gonna get it? They might get you a past paper that might come out exactly the way it is. So now I also realized that in high school you can survive without those kind of people compared to in uni, because in high school it's really not that bad. You can pass without having to discuss, without having those kind of friendships. But if you do have them, they boost you. Now in uni it's like you can still pass, but it's not quite the same compared to when you have those people. You will know that biology is quite a lot. So now when we are attending for this certain lecture who had like a lot of chapters, a lot of topics for this biology module, he will be like, this is where you guys should focus more on, know the processes, or you should know how to explain it word for word. And then there were parts where he was like, no, you can skip this part, it's not important. And then there were parts where he was like, you should read this, know this, there might be a true or false, there might be a multiple choice about this. So with that information, like now when you get to res and go through everything that you were taught that day, you will be able to know that this is where I should focus more on. This is not that quite important. I should know it, but it's not something that I must know like word for word. And then this will limit you from wasting time studying unnecessary things, studying things that they won't ask. And what you could also do is to look at past papers that were said by that lecturer. If they do not change lectures in your uni or during that year, check that too. Because now when they change lectures, they might also change the way they set the questions. So the probability of them repeating a past paper is way less. Hence, it is so important for you to go through the lectures that you were taught when you get to res every day, because now you are going to forget. Trust me. If you don't, you will forget like maybe key points that your lecturer said during the lecture, where you should focus on, where you shouldn't focus more on. Or what you could do is to write notes during the lecture, which is something that is quite useful, because as people, we do forget. Okay, when you get to res, you're tired. So yeah, that is what I have mainly learned this year as a first year. Things were quite different, but it's something that you can adapt to. At first, I felt like everything was moving too fast. Everything was just too difficult. But with time, you adapt to like the way you should study, the things that you should change, the things that you shouldn't change. You learn something new every day. And that is all for today. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And please study, okay? Don't forget to study during these festive holidays. I love you guys.